Hello, YouTube neighbors. It's me again. This is my absolute favorite children's story. And the reason is because of all the subtextual stuff that's tucked inside it, like any good story. This is The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. I would show you the pictures, but let's be honest, it's going to really be awkward whenever I show you the pictures, so sorry. The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. At the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing, excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood, just as long as he could, before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax? And why is it there? And why is it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, the old Onceler still lives here. Ask him. He knows. You don't see the Onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkum on the top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of miff-muffled moof. And on special dank midnights in August he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks, and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather's snail. Then he pulls up the pail, makes a most careful count, and sees if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you've paid him away in a snoove, his secret strange hole in a gruvulous glove. Then he grunts, "I will call you by whisper-ma-phone, for the secrets I tell are for your ears alone." Sloop down slips the whisper-ma-phone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they've had to come down the most snurgly hose, and he sounds as if he'd had smallish bees up his nose. "Now I'll tell you," he says, with his teeth sounding gray, "how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green, and the pond was still wet, and the clouds were still clean, and the song of the swami swans rang out in its space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and I saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile, in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I found brown barbaloots, frisking about in their barbaloot suits, as they played in the shade of the truffula fruits. From the ripulous pond came the comfortable sound of humming fish humming while splashing around. But those trees, those truffula trees, all my life I've been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was like softer than silk, and they smelled a sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what to do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I'd built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop. And with great skillful skill, and with great speedy speed, I took the small tuft, and I had knitted a thneed. The instant I finished, I heard a gazump. I looked. I saw something pop out of a stump. of the tree I chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. "Mister," he says, with a sawdusty sneeze, "I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues. And I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs." He was very upset, and he shouted and puffed, "What is that thing you've made out of my tufula tuft?" "Look, Lorax," I said, "there's no cause for alarm. I chopped down just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed is a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses. Yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers for bicycle seats." The Lorax said, "Sir, you're crazy with greed. There is no one on earth that would buy that fool thneed." The very next minute I proved he was wrong, for just at that minute a chap came along. He had thought that the thneed that I had knitted was great, and happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. "You poor stupid guy! You never can tell what some people will buy." "I repeat," cried the Lorax, "I speak for the trees. I'm busy," I told him. "Shut up, if you please." I rushed across the room, and in no time at all I had built a radiophone and I put in a quick call. I called all my brothers and uncles and aunts and said, "Listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the north road to North Nitch. Turn left at Waukegan and sharp right at South Stitch." And in no time at all, in the factory I'd built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt, and we were all knitting thneeds and as busy as bees, and just to the sound of chopping truffula trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. I quickly invented my super axe hacker, and whacked out 4 truffula trees with one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast as before, and the Lorax, well, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week he knocked on my new office door, and he snapped, "I'm the Lorax, who speaks for the trees, which you have seemed to be chopping as fast as you please. But I am also in charge of the brown barbaloots, who played in the shade in their barbaloot suits, and happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffula fruit to go around, and my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas with no food in their tummies. They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys," he cried, and he sent them away. Though I, the Onceler, felt sad as I watched them all go, but business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm, I most truly did not, but I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered my loads. Of thneeds I shipped out, I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more thneeds, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes, and that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. "I am the Lorax," he coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled and snargled and sniffed. "Onceler," he cried with a cruffulous croak, "Onceler, you're making me sick with this smogulous smoke. My poor swami swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing when they've got smog in their throat. And so," said the Lorax, "please pardon my cough, they cannot live here, so I'm sending them off." Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month, for a year, to escape the smog that you've smogged up around here. What's more, snapped the Lorax, his dander was up, let me say a few words about Gluppity-Glup. Your machinery chugs on all day and night without stop, making Gluppity-Glup and also Schloppity-Schlop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old onceler, you. You're glumping the pond where my humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off, for their future is dreary. They'll have to walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of water that isn't so smeary. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap yap and say bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more truffula trees into thneeds, which everyone needs. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall. The very last truffula tree of them all. No more trees, no more thneeds, no more work to be done. So in time my uncles and aunts, everyone, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under smoke-smuggered stars. Now all that was left, 'neath the bad-smelling sky, was my big, empty factory, the Lorax and I. The Lorax said nothing. He just gave me a glance. He gave me a very sad, backwards glance, as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants. I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of this place, through a hole in the smog, without leaving a trace. And all the Lorax left there in this mess was a small pile of rocks with one word, unless. Whatever that meant, I just couldn't guess. But that was long, long ago. But each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years, while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, says the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax is perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, says the Onceler. He lets something fall. It's a truffula seed, the last one of them all. You're in charge of the last of the truffula trees, and the truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula, treat it with care, give it clean water and feed it fresh air, grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. The end. Corporate greed is going to kill us all. Big business, brah. That monster under your bed, it's a corporate executive. Good night.